Well, I think in this country, people do tend to look to poets. I mean, the poets in this country have always been the smart ones.
People would say, what are you going to do when you leave school, Sam? I'd say, I'm going to be a poet.
Well, I remember there was an article in the Listener which said something about me being the John Travolta of New Zealand poetry, which I am.
I've been performing since I was born, about 33 years. As far as doing the poems, I did my first public reading when I was about 17 at Murray's Bay up on the North Shore. I remember I drank a bottle of beer and was violently sick. I was so nervous.
People have this strange idea that poetry is, as in the words of one of my other poems, which I may read later this evening, that people who think that poetry is about love and that life should rhyme. Neither of those things are true, of course.
I get very tense, get very nervous. It's here, it's on the line. I've got people here who have come because they're friends of mine who have never been to a poetry reading in their lives. And for them, I want to go out, and because of them, I'm nervous. I'm a nervous young girl. But I'm ready to go! Oh, yeah! Good day, sir. Am I late?
No, nice. Good change, really.
Yeah. Right. Well, when do we go?
How do you do? How do you do?
So much. Nice to meet you. Good. Parlez-vous le jazz?
Parlez-vous le jazz, that's right. Roger Fox, big band and all that.
Well, where are we?
You're upstairs. The guys have got you all jacked up in there, very comfortable. Gary knows all about it.
Yeah.
We always put on the very best at Hunt and Girls for you.
One of you young ladies there in a flowing white gown, as you'll want to wear of a morning, I expect, and approached by a young man, which gives rise to this conversation, passion play. It goes like this. These waves have come 2,000 miles to worship at your feet. I've just come to borrow some milk. I live just down the street. Touching little number, isn't it? And that's what poetry's all about. Very valuable stuff. Yeah, sorry.
When you write a poem, do you have to experience something before you write it, or can you just sit down and write away?
No, well, most definitely from experience. I think Sam mentioned something about this before in his own case. But for me, yes, it's something that sparks it up, something I feel strongly enough about. I can't write anything, you know, if nothing's happening.
I think the poem is going to arise from passion. And any poem, I'm not interested in poems that don't come as a result of passion, of anger, of intense love, jealousy, all sorts of things.
Sam used to teach at a school where I was a former prefect. We actually took part in a school debate against one another. And Sam's always been good to me in the sense that he looked at some poems of mine, was very supportive at one stage. I went away from that. It helped a great deal, and it wasn't for 6 years, I think, that I saw him, and then we were brought together for this tour.
I think I met up with Gary as a performer, I suppose about 5 years ago. We've done quite a few tours of New Zealand. We don't always travel together. We enjoy working together. We enjoy each other's company, have a lot of good times, as is probably fairly obvious.
There we go. One thing I always like to do, Gary, before going on stage, I like to just...
Read your press clippings.
read my press clippings. I can smell whiskey somewhere in the air.
Like a bourbon, sorry.
Oh, would I?
That's a lounge bar poet.
I was going to pour myself a big glass, which is mostly water. Let's have a think about a poem. A poem like, what would you suggest to start? This is a whole start.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of young girls out there waiting, so I think a bit of a rip-roarer.
A bit of a sort of hot water bottle baby blues, for example. But
Yeah,
ponderous?
might be, no, it might be a little bit too far advanced. What's
A song about her.
Song about her would be nice.
Yeah, my little girl cut by half.
Oh, yeah, good. And Liz, or something like that, you know, that sort of...
Yeah, right, good. Poem here song. A lot of the poems I tell you actually have been set to music, but I'm not here with my band. I've got a new band called Velvet Vice going at the moment, up in Auckland. Auckland, where the hell do I live? Wellington, I think is the last checking in stage. And Velvet Vice, quite a new group. Sam Hunt and his Velvet Vice. Our main song is going to be one I've just written called, in fact, Velvet Vice. Got a little refrain line which you may as well put to memory. You make me rise like fire, you make me glide, you make me slide like ice every time you take me inside your velvet vice. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's great stuff. Auckland had come through my childhood and early adolescence to represent sort of the death, in a way, the suburbs. I felt I had to escape, get out of that sort of place. I found myself drifting back to Nelson for many reasons, but it was, I think, in the end, almost a place where I could feel a man was allowed to be a poet and still be a man. This was the estuary country, this was the inlets of the heart. One of my reasons and love for estuaries, I suppose, came, in fact, I don't suppose, I say definitely came from my love for, as a young poet, particularly for Dylan Thomas. And in a way, this became my land. One of the relations with whom I used to stay when I was down here as a child was an aunt, Hillary. She lived up in the Pangatotra Valley. She died when I was about 10 or 11, and she was, among other relations, you know, very strong in the encouraging of the writing of poems. When she died, I felt in one way that I'd lost a poetic mother. She had strange dreams the whole of that last year, one about me. I have her letters still, telling of how I'd one day walk out on stage. Who would have believed it? Hillary did, and not long after died. I went by the farm today, but didn't go in. Her husband lives there still, a prosperous farmer who dabbles in the arts, happily remarried. I could only watch the river flow past the farm, the Tasman mountains heave through mist, the poplars hold the light apart. And I thought for a moment I saw Hillary wave from the farmhouse door. The rain quickened. Soon everything, the river flat farm, the mountains, the river and poplars, was blurred. It was years since I'd cried. Thank you very much.
All of the poems and all of the books will not explain this. Your husband, mates, your family and friends laid into you with their idea of a life, kicking the last breath out of you. I have a nightmare like this. Spiders gathering, swinging on nets, gnawing away until sunrise. Well, Carol's a poem about a lady who's really probably not going to make it. I mean, most of my poems are about things and people who are having a bit of a hard time with. And Carol is probably just yet another one of those people who's, thanks to family and friends and other helpful people, is not going to be the sort of lady that she could be. So, I mean, what I write is only important if it comes across. And while I, for example, fool around a lot, and people see me fooling around a lot, what I'm writing about is very serious things, by and large. You know, life is a bit of a struggle for all of us, and generally poems are written about things that happen to people in the course of their lives. There's some pretty heavy things amongst it. But that's what it's all about, you know, and I like to write poems about real things that are happening to people in the hope that other people will see that, okay, this is all part of it. And so what? We're all going to survive anyway. We've still got this beautiful coastline to walk along. We're still going to have a good time. We're going to do the best we can. And that's what I admire about people, is that most of them do the best they can.
that's open. That's good.
The other night I went to a fireman's ball. When I was all but broken, I hadn't slept for 3 days. And the men were looking for a good time. Their wives were at home. And the women were nurses from the local hospital. When does the fun start? Someone asked. And the firemen set about lighting fires under chairs, breaking down doors, pushing people around with their big hats. The women, some of them, were carried screaming down the stairs, and some went willingly. I was almost in a trance by this time when someone blew the siren. Just when things were getting really exciting, when the firemen were getting dreamy and courageous, someone blew the whistle. These weren't firemen at all. They went home one by one, picking up their hats and sliding down the pole, disappearing in the smoke to their wives and children and their dreams of a ride on the big red engine.
It's called When Morning Comes, or subtitled Flat Fat Blues. Grab you, what's that laughter for? This is a softball. Grab you for a yawning kiss, feel your tongue. When morning comes, it only is the old mattress. Climbing, babe, climbing to your flat. When morning comes, I greet you, babe. Greet you with a big, good morning fat. Yeah, yeah. Come on, Kevin, into it. There beside you, little girl, lost and weak, fields of light. When morning comes inside you, sweet. Now, honey, baby, let me be your little boy. A whole night long, let me be your daddy, too. When morning comes into my room without a knock and goes again without a bang, I'm left alone, I'm left a drunk old baritone singing like a flat saxophone. When morning comes without you, sweet.
Make yourself right at home. See you in the second half. Thanks very much. Brilliant evening. Brilliant. Brilliant evening.
That's because I've been having lessons in tap dance.
I don't think I'm worried about that's what we're going to do in the second half. We've shot our load, is it?
Speak for yourself,
Sure,
though.
well, I mean, I have. You know.
I'll sing some Poison the Cannons.
A good poem at this point to follow up in a more general sense is a poem in this book here called Letter to Sam. In a bar overlooking the harbour, I've listened already to young accountants discussing the women getting into their pants as if it were an everyday occurrence, which I doubt somehow that it is. These lounge bar drinkers feel the sadness of which we speak, but fear won't let them contemplate the beauty of human weakness. Everyone a Teuton, Wagnerian overdrive. The harbour below speaks with a clatter of pleasure boats. Wives set brightly coloured pills by bedside cabinets. Lions roam the street by night, ignored. Ignored, that is, but for the distillate and bitter residue of rage, cancer. Cancer is what it breeds. Now, all these things I talk about, you know, by heart. The rain still runs down to the windowsill. I wish you were here for a jug, a laugh, a game of pool. But watching you driving north this morning with minstrel at your side, I thought of a line I've been holding for more than a year. Two shaggy dogs with a bottle of beer between them. So it is, dear Sam, so I hope it will always be. The light lifts off for a final hour. Cheers, another good day tomorrow.
certainly in New Zealand here, that the acceptance of a poet who's prepared to get out and take his poems to the people, and I don't mean to the literary elite, but to people in jails and in trade union halls and so on, New Zealanders seem to respect that.
Oh, this is it. Really?
Catch up with you later, mate. In a minute. Thanks, Anna.
Looks like a really sort of bloke. Sure he meant it too.
What's this over there? Meat. Oh, like, look, one of those.
I'm a big sausage roll man myself.
Oh, look at nice thing of pasty. And maybe a tomato sandwich or two. A couple of tomato sandwiches.
I think your bridge is on, Reggie Nelson.
Oh, I love the nightlife. It's 7 minutes past 11. New Zealand poet Sam Hunt and Gary McCormick. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Nelson.
Good morning. Sam Hunt, why have you got your sunglasses upside down?
Oh, God. It must have been the position I slept last night. Sorry. There we are, much better, of course.
Sam, if I could have first go with you, I believe that you decided to get into the professional poem line when you were about 14. What prompted this position and this decision?
I sort of started off to become an accountant. Didn't find myself very good at figures, and so poetry was the obvious choice. I knew if I'd become an accountant, I'd end up as Prime Minister. I'll probably end up as Prime Minister anyway, so I know poetry was always, for me, the way of saying things, the way of getting things across, the way of making some verbal sense out of this chaos we call life. And when I write a poem like Beware the Man, who tries to fit you out in his idea of a hat, dictating the colour and the shape of it, he takes your head, carefully measures it, says of course, blacks out, he sees himself in the big black hat. So you may be a member of the act, he makes for you your special coloured hat. Beware, he's fitting you for more than that.
Time is 11:21.
Is it?
You better get one more plug-in for your show tonight.
Right,
Gary.
well indeed, we've had some good turnouts to all the readings so far and we've had full houses to date, and we hope that tonight in the Fountain Court Lounge of the Post Office Hotel
In Motueka.
that we're going to have the same thing.
Every performer worth his salt gets nervous. So, you know, I gotta psych myself up. I need the space. I need space. I can't ever stand being crowded by people when I'm ready to do a concert, because I take the performance seriously. I enjoy it, but if I take it seriously because I want other people to enjoy it too.
I get out on my own for a start, to go somewhere on my own. If I'm in a bar or something, I go try and find a quiet corner of the bar, or else I leave the bar and go somewhere else, have a quiet drink, go over the poems, get the rhythm in my head, and then when we're ready to go, in we go, bang.
Dylan Thomas said, I used to think once I became a man of letters only for 10 minutes I was done for, but I feel okay. That joke went over most of your heads, I'm sorry.
And over mine.